guys, I'm doing this video especially for my followers on Facebook and Instagram, and in particular one follower, Maria McDowell. She's always asking me about a recipe for a really good Jamaican black cake, Christmas cake, fruit cake, all the different terms that we use to describe this really traditional dessert cake that we love so much. And it's typically made during the holidays, right? So everybody have their own version and spin on Jamaican fruit cake, but I can tell you this recipe came from my mom, and although I am a chef professionally, my mom, who is not formally trained, is truly the baker. This woman can bake. And when it comes to the Jamaican Christmas cake, no one does it better. No one. I mean, she has mastered the art and technique of making a moist and delicate, really delicious cake. So after many years, I just never baked it. I just relied on mom to making it. But then a couple of years ago, I thought, I really need to have this recipe passed down. So about 2 years ago, one Christmas, we baked together, and I actually wrote out her recipe for how she makes her Jamaican Christmas cake. And quite frankly, it's stored away because I know the ingredients, how to make it. I don't even know where that recipe is. I have to go look for it. So this morning, I decided that this weekend I'm going to use today to make my batch of this Christmas cake. My mom usually make these cake and give them away to friends and family for gifts. In later years, people back home in Jamaica would ask her, why don't you sell these cakes? They really enjoy it so much. So now in Jamaica, she does this during the holiday. She bakes and sells these cakes. I don't sell them. I just do it for my family and some very special friends. So because the ingredients, they're expensive, and if you really want to make it, it's a very rich and very decadent cake. And to really make a really good traditional cake, you have to have all the right ingredients, and some of the ingredients can be expensive. You can get a good wine rather. Port wine is good. Traditionally, Jamaican red label wine is used. I don't use a red label wine. For years, I've always used a really good, rich, and medium to full body port wine, and that does the trick. And I soak my fruits for months in this wine rum. The fruits aren't here now because I just took them out and to steam, but they've been soaking in rum and wine for the last 6 weeks. I've been soaking them, and then I just put them on to steam. It's a little. Now I don't steam them in the rum or wine. Mom doesn't either, because obviously the alcohol will burn off, it will cook off. So I save the wine and rum that I've been steaming them in, and then I'll add that later to the batter. So we still have that. I just steam them in a little bit of their juices that they've been soaking in and have them ready. And I'm going to show you how I pulp. Use my immersion blender, and I'm just going to give it a quick pulp so that they're not going in solid. They're kind of slightly mushy, but not too mushy. You still want to get the full taste of the raisins, and I use raisins and cranberry, a bit of orange zest, and you're gonna see me zest the orange um, peel, it gives it a really nice flavor. Like I said, you know, everybody have a different spin and how to make this cake, but I follow my mom's recipe to the T, and the way she makes it, and it comes out really good, right? So before I get started, I already have a batch baking in the oven. But it's, ooh, oh my God, those look good. And I'm gonna be testing them very shortly to see if those are ready. I'm baking at 350 degrees, and I'm just gonna use a wooden skewer to test them. You know, the whole wooden skewer or toothpick test. If it goes in the center of the cake and it comes up clean, then you know your cake is baked. If you have any of the batter still attached, sticking onto the skewer or to the toothpick, you know that they're not quite done yet and you need to continue baking. I'm baking these at 375 degrees in my oven. Alright? So, putting that aside, I have my sugar, and I use cane sugar. I use brown cane sugar, and I am going to cream. So in this bowl, I have 3 cups of brown cane sugar. I'm going to add 1 pound of softened butter, and you're going to see how many cakes this batter will yield. How many cakes that you can get. All right, using these ingredients. So I'm going to slow it down because this is a recipe that I'm doing for this special lady who follows me on social media. And she's also more than just someone who follows me. She's also a friend. Her husband is my web developer and good friend as well. So I'm slowing it down so that you all can get the ingredients, my process, and all that stuff. So 3 cups of sugar to 1 pound of butter, all right? So I'm putting that in. I'm also waiting for her to call me because I really wanted to do this to walk her through the recipe, but when I post this video, I'll have her just go and watch it and then she'll see. So I have the sugar and butter, and I am going to cream the sugar and butter. I'm using my handheld blender. This thing, my mixer, I've had this for years. I'm gonna start out slowly. Make sure your butter is nice and soft, so you might want to take it out a couple hours ahead before you actually start baking. Or if you really are in a hurry and want to soften the butter, a pound of butter, the whole block, you can put it in your microwave and soften the butter at 15-second intervals or 20-second intervals for 1 minute. So I did that, and as you can see, it's already creaming together because the butter was really nice and soft, right? So it's not going to take a very long time. So the next step, after creaming the sugar and butter for a little bit, you can actually add your egg to help soften and loosen the sugar and butter mix and help it cream a little bit faster. So I'm using, I'm just going to shut this down a little bit. I'm using to this pound of butter, 3 cups of sugar, 8 eggs. So I cracked 8 eggs, and I'm just going to put it in a little bit at a time. You can put them in one at a time, but you can crack the whole 8 in a bowl and slowly add it to your sugar and butter mixture, right? Make sure you have your spatula So you can scrape the side of your bowl as you mix to make sure that the ingredients are completely incorporated and you don't have anything sticking to the side, right? All right, so I'm just gonna continue to cream this a little bit more. This video is gonna be lengthy, but just bear with me if you want to learn how to make this cake. Hi, Maria. Can you hear me? Okay, so I just got finished baking a batch of cake and my mom was on the phone with me. So I wanted to walk you through the ingredients. But because we were having so much problems with connection, I'm making a video and I'm walking you through the whole step. And I'm gonna post the video and you can see it from there. Yeah. I am going to. I'm in the process of making the video right now. So I'm just starting to cream the sugar and butter, and I'm gonna be adding eggs soon. But I'm walking you through the process as I'm making this video, and then I'll post it on my YouTube channel, and you'll have it from there. You'll have all the ingredients, and you'll see the process. I certainly will. It won't be until later. No, not for this one, but I could do a separate frosting video just for you, or I can walk you through that. All right, dear, later. Oh, see, that's a call I was waiting on that I told you about why I'm doing this. All right. So after you cream the butter and sugar and incorporate them so they start to look like this, I'm gonna start adding the eggs. And I kind of want to speed this up because I don't want to make the video too long, but I want to take it all the way through the ingredients as well as the steps. So if you watch this video and follow the steps, you will definitely know how to make this cake, all right? Or at least my mother's interpretation of a Jamaican Christmas cake, and I'm telling you, it has never failed. All right, so I'm gonna slowly add the eggs, and this will help to loosen up the butter and sugar mix too. See? And I'm gonna continue to cream. Add a little bit more. And as you're mixing, you want to stop and use your spatula to scrape the side of your bowl, because you want to make sure that all the mixture is incorporating and it's actually mixing. So I'm actually going to stop. I'm going to scrape the side of my bowl with the spatula. See, you can see it's starting to get really loose and softened, right? We want to make this light and fluffy. The key is to make the batter right. You don't want to, a lot of times there are people, I've had Jamaican Black Cake that I really didn't care for. And I know it's the technique that they use because the cake comes out dry and hard. This cake really should be nice and moist, and have great flavor of rum and wine and all the fruits and currants that you put in it. All right, so I'm just gonna continue mixing. I'm gonna add the last bit of the egg. So I told you, at this point you can add vanilla. So I have my eggs, butter, and sugar. And just to recap the ingredients so far, I use 1 pound of butter softened with 3 cups of brown sugar. I use brown cane sugar. And 8 eggs cracked, added a little at a time. Now I'm gonna add my vanilla. And I'm adding a tablespoon of vanilla. And I'm pouring the vanilla directly into the bowl that I have the eggs because I want to use every bit of the ingredients, right? So if there's any of the egg sitting at the bottom of the bowl, it will get that bit. And I use 2 tablespoons of vanilla. That goes right there. My mom also put a teaspoon of almond. This is a nice flavor, gives it a nice flavor. And like I said, this is my mom's recipe. So 2 tablespoons of vanilla and 1 teaspoon of almond. And then I'll continue mixing, but before I do, let me go and check the oven, see what's going on. Ooh, and they're ready. They're done. They're done, they're done, they're done, they're done. It looks that way at least. So I'm gonna go ahead and start taking these cakes that I have in the oven out that I just finished baking. And I'm doing my test. I'll take the one of the cakes over and I'll test it so that you can see. Look at that. All right, so I'll test that one. Ooh. These are looking good. Hot out of the oven they go. All right, so my first batch of cake, I started really early this morning. So I'm using, so that you guys can see what I'm doing here. But this is one of the cakes that I just finished baking, right? The first batch, I baked 5 of them, all right? So the batter that I'm making will yield 1, 2, 3, 5. Let's see. And if I put this on a scale, which I have my scale right here, I just want you to see the weight. All right. So okay. All right. So this cake is 1 pound and 2.5 ounces, all right? So the batter that and the cake pans are pretty much the same size. So, and it's perfect. See, I just stick it right through and nothing comes up. So it's perfectly baked. It's done. And I'm just gonna set this aside. Okay. So the other one, this pan was a little bit bigger. So I'm gonna weigh this one to see how much it weighs. Oh, and this one weighs exactly 1.5 pounds. All right, so let me go ahead and do my little test. Voila, it's done. It's perfect. All right, so I'm just gonna put this aside, and I am going to cover them to lock in the moisture so that they don't dry out. And then later I'll go back and I'll wet them with some rum and wine mixture that I have left over so that they maintain that nice rum and wine flavor. You know, Jamaican cake have that rum and wine that we all like so much. All right, so let me do a quick test of these. Yep, perfect, perfect, perfect. They all came out beautifully and well done. I'm so pleased with them. See? All right. So I'll get back to finish making that batter, and then I will be putting in those cakes. Another batch of cake. So the second batch of cake that I am making is for me and my hubby and anyone who comes to visit. Well, it's COVID, we're not taking any visitors now, but it's for us to have. And my hubby will eat a whole batch by himself, so no worry there. I am sure that okay, so that's done. Let me continue on with what I've been working on, which is a second batch, the second batter of the cake. And quick recap before I continue, and then I'll show you how I add the flour and what other ingredients that I put in. I have 1 pound of softened butter to 3 cups of flour to 8 eggs cracked. I use 2 tablespoons of vanilla and 1 teaspoon of almond. It gives it a nice flavor. Right, this is nice and light and fluffy. Again, I'm using my spatula to scrape the side of my bowl, because you know that little bit on the side have to mix in so it can get mixed and creamed properly as well. All right, so look, that's the sugar, butter, vanilla, almond, and eggs. All right, so just a few minutes more in creaming this. Right, so this part is completed. I have the sugar and the butter cream. This is where you can actually start adding things like your fruits. Now remember I told you I was having the fruit set aside, and this is 4 cups of raisins, cranberry, soaking in rum and wine for the last 6 weeks. All right, so I'm just going to use my immersion blender, and I am going to pulp this a little bit because I want to soften That's my mom calling. Okay. Mom, did I get it or did I accidentally shut this off? I've been having so much technical difficulties all morning. My mom has been trying to reach me, and phone was acting up, and the video call is not working. All right. So Mom, I'm making a video because a couple of people have asked me how to make this cake. And I was going to share this with one of my followers on social media, but because we're having the same difficulty with reaching me and all that, she also had such problems. So I decided just to make a video of how I make your recipe and then just post it, so that way she could go and watch it online. So far I've added 4 cups of blended or semi. I just pulped the fruits, which is cranberry and raisins, and they've been soaking in rum and red wine. I use a port red wine. I know a lot of Jamaicans use red label wine, which is fine.
All right, I'm calling about finish watching.
Yeah, so I will. Okay, I will just use my spatula to incorporate this into the mix, and so this is going to, at this point, I don't use orange peel as a lot of people do in their dried orange peel, but I do use the zest of the orange. Like I said, I bake this cake the way my mom does, and this orange zest gives it a really nice flavor. The other thing Mom does, and I obviously do now too, is she squeezes a bit of lemon juice in this batter. It takes away that eggy taste sometimes, that even after adding rum and wine, it still has that eggy taste in some people's cake, and I don't like that either. This is one of the reasons why I'm telling you, my mom just does such an amazing job. All the little nuances and technique that she incorporates to come up with her version of this cake really produce a really, really nice cake. So she doesn't use the orange peel because sometimes it can be bitter like what they sell in the stores, but a little shaving of the orange zest, if you can see that on top, really adds, that citrus really adds a nice flavor. And then she adds a bit of lemon juice, about a tablespoon, right? I have a half of a lemon here and I just squeeze the juice inside there. Oh, I can tell you, this is really good, and you can see the fruits. All right, the other thing that this mixture is ready for is the browning. Now this is what gives it that nice chocolatey brown color. Depending on how dark you want to make some Jamaican Black Cake, literally it's black. I like a dark brown, a very robust brown, but I don't like the color to be like literally black. So I use to this mixture an entire bottle of browning, and that just gives me the right coloring that I like and that I'm looking for. And again, like I said, you know, it's what my mom does to her version of this cake recipe, right? So I've added an entire bottle, and I'm gonna mix it so that you can see. And I have a little bit left over from the other batch of cake, and I just want to drain the bottle. So recapping the ingredients, because this is just about ready. I just need to add the flour and baking powder mixture in this batter, and this cake batter has been made, and you've already seen the finished product, so you know what it looks like from the ones that I just take out of the oven. So before I close off this video, I will go ahead and recap all the ingredients and all the steps, so that, look at that, see that? Yeah, this is just about the color and the richness of this batter that I like. So at the end, you get a nice dark brown, almost chocolate looking cake. All right, moving right along. So the last thing that I am going to add to this batter, let me just start clearing this here. I'll start clearing out a few things that I don't need anymore. All right. Starting to smell a lot like Christmas, and the oven will go as soon as I am done. Boy, I really like this time of year. It's my favorite holiday. Christmas is my favorite holiday. It's just a time you spend with family and friends, and you know, this year looks a whole lot different for many households. You don't have your family and friends with you because of COVID-19, and we're all taking that precaution, or I hope we all are. You know, many of us are not going to be with our loved ones or all our loved ones, so it's kind of hard during this time. All right, so I'm going to put the flour mixture together. 3 cups of flour. So I already have a cup of flour and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. So to each cup of flour, you add 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And I use 3 cups of flour. I like my cake light and fluffy, and so I don't go heavy on the flour. Mom does that as well. So anywhere from 3 to 4 cups of flour. After putting in the 3rd cup of flour, I kind of use my judgment as I feel the viscosity, the thickness of the batter. I usually make a decision whether or not I even want to add any more flour to that. But 3 cups of flour is going to be added to this batter. To each cup of flour I use 1 teaspoon of baking soda. All right, so I'm going to measure out a cup of flour. Right, and I'm putting it through my sift. And I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Right, teaspoon of baking powder goes into the flour, and that gets sifted. You can use a sifter, you can use a strainer. Now you don't put these little residue that's left behind, you throw that out. Mom says to throw it out, so I do. All right, I'm gonna measure out. So far I have 2 cups of flour in my mixing bowl and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I'm gonna do the last one. I'm gonna measure the last cup of flour. Now I might add another cup of flour depending on how I see the thickness of the batter when I put the 3 cups in. Mom usually measures out 4 cups of flour and 4 teaspoons of baking powder. I use 1 cup of flour less, unless I see that it's needed. All right, so again, I'm adding teaspoon of baking powder for 1. And see these little tiny residue? You throw that out. All right, so looks like the flour and baking powder mixture is ready. So here is the technique. You fold in the flour and baking powder mixture a little at a time. So the same cup I used to measure out, I'm gonna put the flour in a cup at a time, little at a time. And as I am adding the flour, I'm using the spatula, this hand with the spatula, to fold, to cut and fold, cut and fold. This is a technique to cut and fold, and at all times scraping the side of your mixing bowl. Cut and fold, cut and fold. There's a little bit of science to baking, which is why sometimes you'll find some people's product does not come out as nicely. You'll have cracks in your cake. That's an indication that your oven is perhaps a little bit too hot. So that's one thing. The ratio of dry ingredients to wet ingredients also affects the final outcome of your cake. All right, so I put in the first cup of flour, and I'm just cutting and folding in the flour till it's completely incorporated. Now once I've added all the flour, I'm also going to add some of the wine and rum that has been soaking for a while. Give it that nice rich taste. Look at that. So it's completely incorporated. That's the first cup. The flour is added slowly. okay? A cup at a time. And you fold, cut the batter, and fold, cut, and fold, cut, and fold. All right, so I'm gonna add another cup of flour. There we go. There we go. Cut and fold. Now, baking is very labor intensive, especially if you're using a lot of manual labor that's involved. If you're using electric mixers and so on, it really cuts down on some of the work for you, but some things you have to do by hand, really. So as you see, we're cutting, you're folding, cutting and folding. I'm gonna have to hide some of this cake when I'm done baking for my husband, because we won't have a bite left by Christmas. If he gets a hold of this, he is gonna go. So I'm gonna put one out so he can have that, and then I'm gonna hide one away for the holidays, or else I promise you we won't have any cake. That man loves his sweets, and especially Jamaican Christmas cake. He absolutely loves it. So, oops. All right. So, moving right along, the last cup of flour. I'm just gonna put it in like this, a little at a time. Just a cup left, so I'm just gonna put it in a little at a time. Cut and fold. Remember that technique. You're cutting and you're folding. Cut and fold. Incorporate all the mixture. All right. So all I have to do now is to continue to cut and fold. Ooh, look at that. All right. So, I'm gonna get ready to finish up with this batter. Actually, I'm just gonna use the mixer. Just give it one final mix. Make sure all flour is incorporated. Add a little bit of dark rum. I just added about 2 ounces of dark rum. Just look at that. Nice. And there you have it. Your batter is done. And it's ready be poured in your baking pan, and you will bake at 375 degrees in the oven for 35 to 45 minutes. Test it at first 20 minutes. You'll do your first test where you look, and you'll test it with a skewer, or if you have a toothpick, you can test it. If it comes up clean, just the way I showed you when I took those out of the oven, if it comes up clean, then you know you are good to go. All right, so I'm gonna start clearing some things off this space because we're actually ready to start pouring the batter into the baking tins. So I'm just gonna get those ready. Oh, one thing I forgot to tell you about that we use, and you can use it too, is a little bit of cinnamon powder. Now you would add that to the flour, right? It's a dry ingredient, or you can add it, now I'm gonna add it at the end because I forgot about it. All right, just give it a nice little dusting, about a half teaspoon of this. And I'm just gonna incorporate this into, yeah. All right. So this looks nice and rich. Oh my God. And see the color? That's nice chocolate, dark brown color. That's the color I like. I don't like that extreme black, literal black cake. But it's called a Jamaican Black Cake. Anyway, whether it's this color or if it's darker. Okay? All right. I'm just gonna put some of these ingredients away so that I can make space for my baking tins, and I'll start pouring the batter into the baking tin. That would be pretty much the final step in this whole process here. It does take some time, but it is very much worth the time and effort we put in to make this cake. Like I said, it's a very decadent and rich cake. It's great for dessert, so it goes well on the dinner table for the holidays, or if you just have friends in family gathering and you want to share a slice of this black cake with them, or just for yourself. I mean, come on. You can have this cake with a little bit of wine. All right, so you see this big baking pan? This is what my husband requested, that we bake the cake that we're gonna have in the house for us. Look at this thing. Oh my goodness. I thought he was crazy, but I'm indulging him. It's the holidays. And then I'm also gonna bake another one. This is the one I'm gonna put out. I'm gonna hide this one. I don't care what he says. He's not seeing this until sometime around Christmas. All right, so I'm using a spray. I'm gonna put this aside for later. I'm using a spray to just lightly coat the bottom and the sides of the pan. This way the cake comes out easy and it doesn't stick. All right, so if I have any batter left over, I'll make this tiny little one also. So let me go ahead and get this ready to put in the oven. So these three. Now, I don't know about that one because this thing is already a monster of a cake. But I'm gonna pour this one first. Now you want to pour your batter halfway up the pan because you allow space for the cake itself. As it bakes, it rises. So, wow, this one is a lot. Okay. All right. So I might have some for this pan as well. Good. Pour some more into this big one, and I'll add a bit more to this pan. All right, so let's just see how things are shaping up in each of these pans. So I was able to get one, this is about a 14-inch cake pan, so it's quite big. It's filled all the way up. When this bakes, it's gonna rise all the way to the top. So this is what it looks like when it goes into your baking tin. You will bake this for about 45 minutes in total. All right, so you're gonna check it 20 to 30 minutes in the baking. You may even want to turn it around in the oven and get this ready. If it's not fully cooked at 45 minutes, then just cook for an additional 10 minutes or so. All right, and you'll know that when you do your cake test. Remember I told you you do your cake test by using a skewer or a toothpick, and if it comes up clean just the way I showed you earlier in the video, you know you're fine. All right, so this one goes in the oven. And also I was able to get about this is going to be about a 1 pound cake. Remember those little 1 pound cakes that I showed you earlier that I baked? So this would be about a 1 pound cake. So this is a nice little gift to give to someone as well. All right, so that goes in. And the last one is this monster of a cake. That this is about, when it bakes, it'll be about 5 to 8 pounds. All right, this is a pretty big one, and it will rise all the way up to the top as well. All right, so this goes in the oven, and that concludes our baking session on how to make my mom's version of a traditional Jamaican black cake. I know this was a lengthy video. Thank you for watching. You're watching Barbara Cooking-Diva, Food for Thought. Come join me, and if you like my content, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Maria, I made this one for you. I hope you enjoy your cake and enjoy the experience of baking what I think you will find to be a delicious Jamaican black cake. See you guys next time. Tune into my channel, Food for Thought with Barbara Cooking-Diva. That's me, that's right. And don't forget to go to my website, divaluscious.com. That's DIVALUCIOUS for all your cocktail mixes for the holiday. Diva Luscious Cocktail Line. Go get it. Get the amnesia. It's so good. Get it. Go to divaluscious.com. See you next time. Bye.